I know a lot of people want to try and make out like child abuse, child trafficking, government involvement, anything like that is just some sort of a conspiracy. But if you actually have a look around, you can find loads of information. This one's Bon Secours Mother and Baby Home. And I don't know if you've ever seen the film Philomena. It's based on a true story. A woman had a child. It was adopted out to an American couple. It's all sort of done by the Catholic Church. I'm not putting all the blame on the church at all, because it's not them, it's government, it's all sorts of people involved, but that's just one particular story. And like the fight, she was trying to find him, and they're basically telling him that his mother didn't want to know him and her, but the son didn't want to know her, while they're both actually trying to find each other, and by the time she tracked him down, he was actually dead. And you start looking into these sort of things, like this one in particular. In 2012, the Health Service Executive raised concerns up to 1,000 children have been sent from the home for the purpose of illegal adoptions in the United States without their mother's consent. And it carries on. Corliss research led her to conclude that almost all had been buried in an unmarked, unregistered site at the home, and the article claimed that there was a high death rate of residents. Corliss estimated that nearly 800 children had died at the home. 800. You start looking into these sort of things. Excavations carried out between November 2016 and February 2017 had been ordered by the Commission, found a significant quantity of human remains aged from 35 fetal weeks to 2 to 3 years old. You know, it's like 35 weeks is past the point of termination. You know, a baby born at 35 weeks can survive. It's you start looking into this sort of stuff, and then it's happening everywhere. Abuse, all sorts of things going on. This one, Florida School for Boys, otherwise known as the Dozier School, after Arthur G. Dozier. And yeah, because of questions about the number of deaths at the school and a high number of unmarked graves, the state authorized a forensic anthropology survey by University of South Florida. They identified 55 burials on the ground, most outside the cemetery, and documented nearly 100 deaths at the school. You know, it's like a reform school. Why are that many people dying? There's even more than that. One of them, down near the bottom somewhere here, that is been officially reported as missing since 1940, but then during an excavation they've managed to identify him. So the school reported him missing, knowing full well that he was dead and buried. I mean, the kind of craziness that goes on. Like, the official Department of Justice found that there was nothing actually out of the ordinary going on. Nothing really seemed strange, and none of the allegations really seemed to match evidence, and blah 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 blah. And it's just like absolute madness when you start looking into it. Trying to find a quote. There was like 11% of people surveyed who'd been there said that they'd been sexually abused by force. I think 12% said they were abused without force. So then you sort of like looking at over 20%, nearly a quarter of the kids there were sexually abused, some with force, some without. But the ones without force, how conditioned were they to not fight back? And compared to other institutions in the survey, it was neither a high or a low rate. So that's standard. It is standard for a 25% of children, of inmates, whatever you want to call them, being sexually abused. That's standard. That's what they find in those institutions. And it doesn't seem out of the ordinary. It doesn't seem high. Right? It's not low, but it's not high. You know what I mean? How the fuck does this shit happen? Then we're led to believe that everything's alright. And you just start looking around at things, you know, like this one, Bethany Home, where kids are just getting sent around from home to home to home, disappearing, dying, records being altered. Absolute madness. But that one in Florida, they tried to sell off the land before it could be anything could be done. They didn't want it to be exhumed, and then when people started getting involved and there was a campaign to exhume the bodies, there was things put in place. Oh no, you need permission from the families, so then they're trying to track down the families to get their permission, and everything was being done to just sell the land off, have it completely covered over, ripped apart in some kind of pollution clean-up, and then build on it. So then it all just disappears, doesn't it? No one gets held accountable. But then you look through this list of UK asylums. The asylum list is what the site's referred to. And if you go through them, you start finding the number that have been demolished, rebuilt, redeveloped, converted. And you have to start wondering how many bodies are buried in those grounds. How many people were said to have gone missing? And they're actually buried somewhere around there. It's been demolished, it's been rebuilt, it's been built over. It's been so long that no one even knows what it was that was on that site. You get to a point where the authorities have to be involved. There's no way of escaping the fact that they've been involved all the way through. It is people who are high up in this country. It is people who have these certain positions. It is people who are meant to be taking care of people, doing something to stop that sort of thing going on. And they're not. They're complicit. They're directly involved. Years ago, hundreds of thousands of kids sent out to Australia. It is real. People, these systematic abuses happen, these institutionalised child trafficking, child abuse. It actually goes on. You just need to be able to look, find the evidence and put it together and understand it for what it is. It's no conspiracy. And that's why over a period of time there was a decentralisation of certain things, like prisons are all put out to private companies. There was the closing down of the asylums. It's no longer the government's responsibility, it's no longer anyone's responsibility. It all gets decentralised and put out to your local trusts and authorities, and then any wrongdoing falls totally on them. And it won't be until the people who are involved are dead and gone that all the files are going to come out, the information's going to come out, and then we'll have the truth now that there's no one there to punish or hold accountable, and they can give some kind of a public apology on behalf of the nation, on behalf of everyone who's been through it, and it can all just go away and they can go, oh, well, we've apologised now. It's just absolute bullshit. The system is rotten from the top to the bottom. It really is that simple. It's just an absolute mess. But yeah, sorry, someone was at the door. That's why the dog went crazy. But you just have to look into it yourself. There seems to be this you shouldn't attack your reader, is what they say when you're writing something, or you shouldn't attack the viewer when you're constructing something. But there's too much dependence by people on everything being laid out for them. There seems to be this thing now where everyone wants to be spoon-fed. They just want to sit there, stare at a screen while they're being spoon-fed. And you need to activate your brains. If you've already got your brain activated and you're already looking for stuff and you already carry out your own research, then I'm not talking to you right now. But don't ask for a link. Don't ask where you found it. Go and look for yourself. Get your brain working again. And just sit there like a zombie. That's what the TV's done to you. And you've come from that TV mindset. And yeah, I'm shutting that down now because all it is mainstream media lies. And then you're getting online and you're still carrying out the same zombie behaviour of sitting there waiting to be spoon-fed. well then all you're going to do is get the exact same kind of information, the exact same kind of misleading disinformation, misinformation, by sitting there waiting to be given it. Go out, find it for yourself, start looking around, look at what's going on in the world, search for things, carry out your own research, learn how to research. Don't sit there asking for a link. Don't moan that not everything has been provided in a video. Take your time to go and find things for yourself, but no, you probably won't. You just click onto the next video, onto the next video, onto the next video. You want it to be presented properly. You want the camera to be held the right way. You want the picture quality to be good. You want the sound to be good. Oh, what did you film that on? A potato? Oh, you're holding it the wrong way. Forget about what it looks like. Forget about what it sounds like. Look a lot more at the content. Because otherwise you're just going to have... You'll just accept rubbish. You'll accept lies just because it's nicely produced. It came in the format that you appreciate. So therefore it must be good. It must be truth. It must be real. It must be what you need to know. Because someone spent a lot of money producing it, putting it out there for you to sit there and consume. Well, surely that should be one of the reasons why you question it. Why did someone spend so much money, make so much investment to make something so perfect and amazing, to capture you in all those ways that you expect from films, in those ways that you expect from TV? Why has someone put so much effort into producing that if all that is important within it is the information? You know, you need to start thinking for yourselves. You need to start looking around at the world, what's really going on in the world, but people can't. People genuinely can't. They can't think for themselves. They can only think what they've been told to think. It's so difficult. You can't have a rational, logical, coherent conversation with someone because you'll make a statement of fact to them, and what they'll assume is that you're just saying what you feel, or that you're just saying what you believe. And because they think it's only a feeling or a belief, they then think that they can challenge that with their feelings and their beliefs. And then you end up in a conflict. But if you state something that's an absolute fact, and that person then argues with absolute fact, that person is arguing with reality itself. You know, you're not going to win an argument against absolute fact. But then there's the reality that people don't deal with facts anymore. We've become this society, this species that functions on feelings, that talks in terms of feelings, and all it's about is feelings. But I've got a feeling that this, but I've got a feeling that. Well, I believe this and I believe that. Fuck your feelings, fuck your beliefs. There's no room for it. If your feelings stop you from dealing with logic, they stop you from dealing with reality, then what use are they, other than to give you a personal satisfaction? And that's all people really want out of the world these days. They don't want to deal with the truth. They don't want to do the hard work to find out the truth. They don't want to put any effort in. Just want to sit there like zombies being spoon-fed. Well, I hope you enjoyed your meal.